Good morning. Today we are going to unlearn some of what we have learned and we are going to explore the newest features in WordPress. Okay, so far I have taught you WordPress the traditional way, which has been the same for about a decade, and it still works. But I want to give you some knowledge about the future of WordPress, and we're also going to experiment with Gutenberg, which is the newest WordPress editor. So it looks and feels very different than what we have done so far. And you might say, well, Lisa, why didn't you teach us Gutenberg from the very beginning? And the reason is that Gutenberg is the new WordPress. It's a totally different editing experience, totally different what you see is what you get web design experience. I want you to understand that this new experience is going to be implemented in stages. So it's right for you to learn the old way, quote unquote, and to also look at what Gutenberg is and the implementation of it over time. Okay, so right now I have Trends in Web Design 2018, which is the page we've been building up. And let's go to Gutenberg's webpage. Okay, check this URL out. So I want everyone to take a look at this, wordpress.org/Gutenberg. And it talks a lot. We're going to actually do this in two stages. First of all, I want to talk about how this is implemented right now in 2018. And then we will actually install Gutenberg as a plugin and we will remake our page using the new editing experience. So that's Gutenberg video part 2. Part 1, we're just going to talk about the changes. All right, so first of all, Gutenberg right now is a plugin. So it's a plugin that changes how you build out a WordPress page. Why is this important? Okay, well, WordPress is awesome, but it's not really what you see is what you get web design. Here's what we see, and here's what we get, right? So we can't say that. So for ages and ages, web designers have been talking about WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get web design. And we've never really achieved it. So Gutenberg, the new plugin for WordPress, will eventually become the entire editing experience for WordPress, and it's planned that you will actually see what you get. Now, that has not happened yet. All of the plugins, etc., that we've been using, shortcodes, they're all still going to work using Gutenberg, but Gutenberg will be implemented in 3 stages. So I recommend that you read this in depth. The first planned stage is the one we're going to work with. And so I'm going to show you this rather than tell you this. So just trust me on it right now. Block implementation. So in other words, a block, now you kind of know what a block is because of CSS and the box model. Every block can contain different content, and you'll see that. I'm not going to go through every little bit of it right now. This is just a short video to discuss what Gutenberg is and how it's being implemented. So we'll actually look at that visually in the next video. Here's the important thing that I want you to understand. Okay, as of right now, Gutenberg is a plugin. So aren't you glad that you learned what a plugin is? So remember, plugins come in 3 flavors. What are the 3 flavors? Yes, you're right. They are plugins that run in the background without you having to do anything, like Akismet, which blocks spam. Shortcodes, which are a type of plugin that gives you functionality to your website and allows you to implement mini programs that do things like format text, make your editing experience easier and your page more interesting, and plugins that are visible on your page. So in other words, plugins that address something visible, like a contact form plugin, etc., etc. Okay, all right. So a lot of things, okay, you don't know about custom post types yet. Okay, forget about it. But your shortcodes and most plugins, most, are still going to work. Okay, so there's some things that we're going to look at in terms of compatibility, but none of it is something that is going to affect us right now. For example, the plugins that we've addressed, SEO, security, spam, and shortcodes, those are not going to change. What's going to change is the editing experience. Okay, so right now, I want you to, okay, rather than making a PowerPoint which rehashes this information, I want you to go to wordpress.org/Gutenberg and read this. That is your homework. But what we're going to do is take a look at what Gutenberg looks like, and then we're going to build out a web page using Gutenberg. So take a good look at what we have here. We're looking at it in the visual view here. We're looking at it in the text view here. We're looking at page attributes here on the left sidebar. We're looking at featured image. We see our Yoast SEO on the bottom. Most companies that are big WordPress plugin companies like Yoast are actively working with WordPress to make sure that they are compatible with Gutenberg. So right now Gutenberg is a plugin. In a year or so, Gutenberg is going to be the de facto WordPress experience, but right now it's a plugin. So let's go install the plugin. Hey, look, it's a featured plugin. All right, so guys, as of right now, this is so new that as of July, what day is it? July 28th? Oh, it's July 30th, goodness. As of July 30th, 2018, there's only 20,000 active installations of Gutenberg. Now, normally I would say, hey, skip that. And it has 577 reviews, none of which are super great. Okay, so let's just take a look here. I'm going to look at more details. Normally, I would say, let's not use this plugin, right? But since this is where WordPress is going anyway, we need to take a look at it and understand how Gutenberg is going to affect you in the future. So we have theme developers who say, hey, this is great. And we have WordPress users who are saying, no, please don't do that. That happens with any new technology. So as you can see, people, look at this guy. People are extremely passionate about, no, they don't want it. And then there are people who are extremely passionate about, yes, we do want it. People want both. Any new technology is going to generate controversy. Nevertheless, we're going to install it anyway. So in the Gutenberg description, there's a link here, discover more about the project. I'm just going to take you there real quick. That's that same link, wordpress.org Gutenberg, so that you do need to read that. All right, so as you can see, opinions are very, very mixed, but quite honestly, this is where WordPress is going and we can't stop it. So let's learn it. So I'm going to go ahead and install Gutenberg as a plugin. And let's see, without any changes, what our experience looks like. So it's installed. I'm going to activate it. All right, so now here, let's check out my plugins. I have Akismet Anti-Spam. I know that one is still compatible. Contact Form 7, don't know if it's compatible or not. Shortcodes Ultimate, I don't know if it's compatible or not. Updraft Plus, don't know. Yoast, I know it's compatible. So we may have a few kinks to work out. However, what I want to do is go back to our page and take a look at the interface. Okay, so remember, it is your choice whether or not you use Gutenberg for your WordPress site, but I do want you to have understanding of Gutenberg and how it works. All right, so let's go back to oh, look at this, we have something new, Classic Editor. So we can choose to use the Classic Editor, or we can choose to use the new Gutenberg editor. And we're going to choose to use the new Gutenberg editor. All right, so look at how different this is. It's actually not that big of a deal. So Yoast, still working. Now that we have installed Gutenberg, the first thing I want to do is take a look at my page and see if Gutenberg has made any changes to my page. No. Okay, so our page still looks the same. Let's go back to the editing experience, and we're going to go a little deeper into this. We're just going to look at, honestly, not a lot has changed. There's no need to overcomplicate it. The deal is that Gutenberg works in blocks. So notice this is a classic block. A classic block is just exactly what we've been working on in WordPress. All right, so let's add a block. So document. We have two tabs here, a little bit simpler. Document, its visibility is public. The last time I published anything on it was July 24th. It's been revised 9 times. Featured image, we already know that. Discussion, that's comments, page attributes. Let's just take a look at that. Yeah, default template. Nothing extremely crazy here. And Yoast is still giving us it's giving us a score of green, excuse me. All right, so now let's take a look at block. Okay, so block is the new way that we create and edit pieces of content in WordPress. Okay, now I have to say, guys, that this is still not what you see is what you get. We are in a transitional phase in WordPress. So let's go ahead and edit this block. So the permalink is a block, trends in web design is a block, and this is a block. And so far, let's go ahead and convert this to blocks. Actually, you know what? I'm going to duplicate this. All right, so trends in web design, and here we have trends in web design. Okay, so let's go ahead and edit. We can edit it as HTML, or we can edit it as a block. Okay, it's a classic editor, and it's a block. Drop the editor right in. All right, so if I go ahead and remove this block, I am going to add another block. Check this out. So we have a little plus button at the bottom, and we have choices. We can add a classic WordPress block, or we can add an image, or we can add a heading. All right, so we are going to go ahead and hit the plus button and see what our other options are. So a block, don't overthink it. It's just content. So WordPress has decided, all right, everything is going to be, we're going to call every piece of content on our page a block. What do we want? Do we want a paragraph? Do we want an image? Do we want a heading? Do we want a gallery? Do we want a list? Do we want a quote? Do we want audio? Do we want a cover image? And then it gives you options for common blocks, which we already really looked at. Options for formatting, layout elements. Okay, a page break, a separator, a spacer, and then we have more widgets. Shortcode, archives, categories, we're probably going to use the shortcode most, and embeds. So embeds would be, look at this is all built in now. We don't need to worry about adding another plugin. They have built-in embedding Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and whatever else we might want. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to close this and take a look at adding a block. So we're going to add a block that is a heading. Okay, Gutenberg in a nutshell. Okay, so we just added a block that's a heading. Now when we do that, this pops up. This is everything we can do to that block. Right now it's in H2. Let's make it an H3. We can make it bold, italic, we can make it into a link. Cool. Now let's go ahead and add another block. The next block is going to be a paragraph. Oh, look at that, we got an error. Okay, so yay. This block has Well, fine. All right, so as we said, this is not perfect yet. I'm going to go ahead and try adding a paragraph again. And let's delete it. Okay, so the complaints about Gutenberg is that it's buggy. But truthfully, it is in our best interest to learn it and play around with it, even if you don't use it. So let's do a paragraph again, and I'm going to say Gutenberg, colon, the future of WordPress. All right, so everything we can do to it, right? And then notice we have all of the block settings also on the right side. Okay, I'm just going to update this. Hopefully we won't get an error again. And we're going to attempt to add another paragraph. First, I'm going to get out of this block. So here's our paragraph. And I'm actually going to steal some text here. What is a block? Now let's look at, now see, it has a heading. I am going to remove that. So this is a paragraph block. This is a heading block. I don't want that heading block. I'm going to delete it. Okay, so now I have a paragraph block, and when I click inside this, it gives me I have my options here, and I have more options here, including background color, text color, and things we didn't have in WordPress before. So let's give this block, all right, I'm sorry this is going to be ugly, but let's give this block a color. It can be any color I want. I surely don't want pink, but hey, how about some nice Greenville orange? Luminous, vivid orange. You know what? This block is going to get the color of luminous, vivid orange. No, it doesn't allow, yeah, here let's go to advanced HTML anchor. Yeah, interesting, the heading block doesn't look like it's going to allow me to have a background color. So I'm still learning about this too. So here's our orange block, and let's take the text color. Look, it's giving us design suggestions. You know what? This might be a little hard to read. You think? All right, so our background color, our text setting is, we can say it's small or we can use a custom size. I'm going to, and we can also toggle a drop cap. That's kind of cool. I like that. And so text color, try using a brighter background color or a darker text color. Okay, so I'm going to close that text color. Let's make the text color very light gray. All right, actually I don't really like that, to be perfectly honest, but let's go with, I actually think I possibly like black better. But just because we're working with some of the new features of Gutenberg, we're going to leave that as is. So this is a block. This is the new editing experience. And again, this is something that is going to be improved upon over the next year or two until it becomes the default editor of WordPress. All right, so we're going to update that. So everything about WordPress still works, but we can choose to have this new editing experience. Okay, so let's add another block. And I should get the little, oh, gotta hit the block over here. I should get the little plus sign here. Yeah, that's a little interesting. All right, so I'm already encountering a little bit of, this is about as far I wanted to go with Gutenberg, the future of WordPress. And by the way, my inability to add another block here counts for extra credit points. So we're going to come back to this, and then we're going to add some more blocks, and we're going to create a page using the new editor. That's our next step. All right, so we're going to say goodnight for, well, good morning for now, and we're going to come back a little bit later and build a page out using blocks. All right, so before we go, let's view our page. There's our block. Notice this is not what you see is what you get yet, but we're getting there. All right, so to wrap it up, Gutenberg is optional. I want you to learn about it. I want you to use it, and it doesn't invalidate anything that we have learned about WordPress so far. What it does is add a new editing experience. You know, everything in web design changes all the time, and so we need to be cognizant of the changes that are happening and up on the changes that are happening. In other words, we need to be ahead of the curve all the time. So we learn Gutenberg, we're going to be ahead of the curve. All right, goodbye for now. We're going to build out a page in the next video.